Let's talk sports now, and the 2024 African Nations Championship insurance procurement scandal at Kandanda House has plunged the Football Kenya Federation into turmoil, splitting the National Executive Committee into two rival factions. In a dramatic twist, the Federation now appears to have two centers of power, one led by incumbent President Hussein Mohamed and the other by his deputy MacDonald Mariga, after the NEC resolved that Hussein should step aside amid the wrangles. Questions still linger of whether Kenya actually procured an insurance cover for the biennial event. NTV's Elijah Oko has the details.
Yeah. Less than 18 months into Hussein Mohamed's tenure at Kandanda House, battle lines have been firmly drawn in a power struggle now threatening to destabilize Kenyan football. At the heart of the dispute are allegations that the Football Kenya Federation paid 42 million shillings to an unlicensed insurance broker for a medical cover linked to the 2024 African Nations Championship.
To ensure continuity of operations, the NEC has mandated me to take up the role of acting president, which mandate I have accepted and assumed with immediate effect.
Stepping aside in this country is not something that is unique. We saw during Nick Mwenda's time, there was a period that he stepped aside, and that did not mean the end of his term. You know, you cannot investigate somebody who is seated in that office.
Under CAF requirements, each of the three host nations was obligated to secure insurance cover for the tournament as stipulated in Annex 1 of the General Conditions of Organization, Clause 15. Earlier this week, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission confirmed it had launched investigations into the matter. On Friday night, the FKF National Executive Committee escalated the crisis, announcing that President Hussein Mohamed, CEO Dennis Gisheru, and NEC member Abdullahi Yusuf Ibrahim should step aside pending investigations.
Further, necessary steps shall be taken to preserve evidence, including freezing of relevant accounts and a review of all existing contracts.
The main assurance we want to give is that everything is exactly as was, except for maybe the stepping aside of some of our colleagues.
As far as we are concerned, we have followed the procedure, we have followed the constitution, we have followed the FIFA statutes and CAF statutes, and anybody then who has a problem with that knows there is an appellate process. So we will leave that to them.
However, Hussein Mohamed has dismissed the move, insisting he remains the legitimate head of the federation. He argues that due process was not followed, citing Article 38(2) of the FKF Constitution, which mandates that only the president can convene NEC meetings within 21 days unless he fails to do so, in which case members may step in. The Constitution also provides under Article 41(2) that the NEC can provisionally dismiss a member provided a formal motion is submitted, justified and shared with the members ahead of the meeting. Article 41(4) further guarantees the affected individual the right to defend themselves.
The purported meeting held on the 24th April was not convened, if it happened, in accordance, because I've not received any formal communication in regards to the same, in accordance with the FKF Constitution 2017, and is therefore irregular and unlawful and unconstitutional. On
the question of the insurance cover, Hussein maintains that CAF, not FKF, handled the payment process, distancing himself from the alleged payment. This is despite documents seen by NTV Sport indicating that funds were transferred to Riskwell Insurance Brokers, an entity not licensed by the Insurance Regulatory Authority.
Once again, there was no loss of funds in relation to the insurance cover. There is nowhere FKF paid for insurance cover for Chan. I want to reiterate, FKF never paid any money to any insurance company. This is a reputation I've built over 25 years in terms of developing grassroots football. Never once has anybody, not once has anybody ever accused me of misappropriation. I've invested hundreds of millions in my projects over the years, which is known.
Questions now remain unanswered. Was the insurance cover ever procured? Why was 42 million shillings wired to an unlicensed broker? And ultimately, who is in charge of the Football Kenya Federation? CAF is yet to issue an official statement on the matter. Elijah Ouko, NTV Sport.